How many times did you try to generate leads on Meta for your business, but you ended up talking to a bunch of unqualified leads that have no idea why they clicked or applied? Well, today I'm going to solve this issue for you by showing you the 3 methods you can use from worst to the best to generate leads on Meta ads. And let me tell you, I assure you that 90% of you here are not even doing the best method, which is number 3, which guarantees you the highest quality leads possible and the biggest ROI. Similar to Lara, she generated over 6,000 leads in a month and started generating over $3,000 per month from her course membership, selling at $49 a month. And the best part in all of this is that you don't need to have any kind of experience to generate leads, as I'll be sharing my screen and walking you through each method and how to launch each campaign. Oh, and by the way, if you still don't know me, my name is Mo Hakim and I've been helping businesses and myself generate leads online for the past 10 years. I've worked with over 1,000 businesses during my career, so without further ado, let's get into my laptop and go over the 3 methods to generate leads on Meta ads. Okay guys, so now I'm on my laptop. I opened the ads manager. Obviously, I'm not going to be showing you how to create your ads manager and everything. I'm assuming you already know how to do that. So let's dive into this. So number 1 is that you need to click on create. Once you click on create, you need to select the leads objective. Once you click here on leads, you need to click on continue. And do not go with the recommended setting. Please go through the manual leads campaign. So you click here on continue. I'm gonna start with the worst option, which is running a messages campaign. Now, some people debate this, but some people think that to generate leads through messages, they need to go through the leads campaign, which can work, but I'll show you an alternative for that. So you leave everything here as is. You click next. And all you're gonna do is simply select Instagram to get Instagram DMs or Messenger for Facebook Messenger. Now, here's the thing. I personally wouldn't recommend this if you wanna run messages campaigns and to generate messages, which you could assume as leads. So I'm gonna click here on X and I'm gonna discard all drafts. This is just like a basic, this is just a dummy account I created just for the sake of this video. So check this out. I click again on create and I want to select the engagement objective. You click here, then you click continue. Also go with the manual engagement campaign. And then you will see almost the same setup, but on the ad set level, it's going to be different. So I click here on next. Then you will be prompted into the following. So you need to select the message destinations. You could select Facebook Messenger, you could select Instagram, or you could select WhatsApp, or you could select all of them. I want to generate leads through Instagram DMs and Facebook Messenger. I don't want to use WhatsApp here. These 2 options here could be selected, or if you want, you could disable Facebook Messenger. It really depends on the market you're in, but usually the higher quality people are on Instagram, so usually we only select Instagram for that. But for now, for the sake of this training, I'm going to keep it as Facebook Messenger and Instagram DMs. What you need to do next is maximize the number of conversions. Always choose that. Do not choose maximize number of link clicks, because this over here is only going to get you people who are more likely to click, not send a message. So I'll keep this as is. The daily budget is completely up to you. And over here we have the scheduled date, obviously up to you. I always recommend to run the campaign at 12 a.m. the next day so you can make the most out of the daily budget. Then I'll move on to the next. I'll keep everything here as is. Choose the country location you're in. Now I'm in Lebanon, so it's taking my location as in Lebanon. If you click on the minimum age, you can also keep this as is. If you want to exclude some custom audiences, like if you don't want to show your ad to existing customers, you can exclude them from here. Again, this is something a bit advanced. I don't want to go over this now. I'll create a separate training on how to do some custom exclusions. Now, the targeting here is the Advantage Plus, which is technically the broad targeting of Meta that utilizes the algorithm to do the heavy lifting on your behalf instead of doing interests or doing some bunch of techie things. All you gotta tell Meta is that, hey, my target audience is like this, and they know it based on your creative and ad copy, by the way. So they do the targeting on your behalf without you interfering in anything. So in that case, I would recommend you to do that, give control to Meta so they can know who they want to target. And later on, if you're very advanced, you could go into interest targeting or lookalikes. But in the beginning, like just go into, like just use this Advantage Plus audience targeting. So keep this as is. Then you need to click on next. And here, everything is pretty much simple. So you need to set up your creative. Let's say you're using a video ad. You will, let's say, use this video ad, for example. I click here on next. I leave here everything in empty, and I'm gonna click done. Okay, so you can add one primary text, and you could change the headline here. Instead of chat on Messenger, it could be chat with us. And the call to action, which is this one and this one, are going to be remain send message, or you could change it into something else if you want. The next thing you gotta do is either go with the conversation starters that are from Meta, or you could do through a partner app, which is ManyChat. For now, I'm gonna just stick with the basic one from Meta because I will create a separate training in the future on how to use ManyChat in your business and how to link it with your ads manager. Over here, I'm gonna click on edit. Usually, I never use the first name because the first name only works on Facebook, and as I told you before, the low quality traffic is on Facebook. The reason why Meta does this is because it allows you to personalize the messaging. But unfortunately on Meta, not everyone uses their first name. So if you're saying, hi Mo, it could be on another account, hi XYZ, I don't know. So that's why I wouldn't recommend using the personalization in the message, and the simple text is going to be, hi, please let us know how we can help you. And by the way, all of these are for Facebook Messenger. If we want to do the Instagram direct, I'm going to show you how to do it. Usually, Meta adds the questions as presets for you. I wouldn't recommend you use them unless there's something very specific that you want. In my opinion, the way we do it is simply we delete all of these questions and we let our setters do the conversation with the prospects. So if someone sends us a message, we simply discuss with them manually instead of sending them into a preset of questions, because a lot of people will abandon the chat if they see they're just talking to a chatbot. I'm just gonna keep it very, very, very simple, just like this. Okay, and for Instagram Direct, it's gonna also show like this. So it says, hi, please let us know how we can help you. That's simple. All right, now you need to click on save and it will show like this. Obviously, you can change the conversation or the template name, like that's totally fine. What I just showed you here is the very basic way of generating leads through Instagram DMs or Facebook Messenger, which is my least favorite. Like, I personally don't like this because we get a lot of people sending us messages, but we barely convert them into high-paying clients because the barrier to entry is very low. And a lot of people might just send you, hey, what's the price? Or like, can you tell me more information about what you do? Or like, can you give me the list of prices? Like, you get a bunch of dumb questions that just waste the time of your team. That's why we personally don't like this. This is the first option, which is the worst. Now I'll delete this and delete everything. And I want to show you the second method, which is generate leads through the instant form. Now, the instant form over here, you need to click again on create, click on leads, click here on continue, make sure it's a manual leads campaign, then click on continue again. And I don't want to go through the details, like how to name the campaign and the ads and everything. That's a discussion for another video. But I'll click next. And if you are generating leads through an instant form, you need to make sure you're selecting an instant form. Okay, and the Facebook page over here, it could be anything you want. So I'm gonna say You need to make sure that you're accepting the meta lead ad terms for the page in order to generate leads through the lead gen form of Meta. Now, since we already accepted it, it shows that we did here. And over here we have the maximum number of leads. Always make sure to optimize your campaign or ad set into the leads goal that says maximize number of leads. You don't want to maximize the number of leads by clicks or anything else. Okay, now you can keep the dynamic creative off, the catalog none. Obviously, we're not selling a product, and we'll choose keep the budget as is based on the budget we have, and the date is obviously something completely up to you. Now, the Advantage Plus targeting is also the same as the previous campaign I mentioned. Do not try to interfere with Meta in the beginning because you're just learning and you have a ton of data to collect. So there's no need to change the kind of targeting. Keep it as broad as possible. Now, the next part, obviously here we have the placement. Again, do not change the placement, keep everything as is. I still see a lot of media buyers that are like, unfortunately, they're mediocre media buyers. They exclude placements from the targeting, which messes up the CPMs, the cost per lead, the click-through rate, and even the cost per click. Because Meta is always going to optimize for the lowest cost. Now, sometimes, yes, it's a lower quality, but at some point when you're analyzing your ads, if you see that a lot of traffic is going into your form or landing page from a low quality platform like Facebook, for example, you could simply disable that placement after you've validated this information. And again, it really depends on your market. If you're in the US, you're more likely to get high quality people from Instagram and Facebook. Okay, but if you're in the Arab region, you're most likely going to get the higher quality from Instagram. So do not interfere in this unless you know what you're doing. Then I'm gonna click here on next. So obviously we've selected the page automatically because it has been selected in the ad set level. So I wanna click on single image or video. Obviously it's similar to the previous campaign. Now you need to create an instant form. So I'll here create a form and I wanna give it a name. So I'm just gonna keep it as is, but you could name it something internal for you that no one sees except you. Ads management service. So I want to name it Ads Manager Service Lead Gen Form, and I want to say the date today is June 17, 2025. Okay. Now the form type, I usually recommend using more volume. You always want people who just want to fill the form. However, if you're selling something high ticket, I suggest you to go with the higher intent because the method of submission is a bit different. Because the more volume option is only going to ask people to click on the form or on the button. However, for the higher intent, it's going to ask them more questions, and the submit button isn't a click, it's a slide. So when you slide that button, it means that this person has an extremely high intent in submitting that form. So let's say I'm selling a high ticket service. I want to select the higher intent. So I'm going to click here on next. And you could add a greeting if you want. I personally don't use it. It doesn't like really do any much of a difference. It just adds more steps and will most likely lower the conversion rate. So I'm going to click here on next. And then I'm going to go into the questions. Now, I won't tell you what kind of questions to ask here, but I'll just give you a quick tip. When you're generating leads for a high ticket service, you usually need to ask the following questions, like, why are you approaching us to inquire about this service? So this allows people to somehow promote you indirectly and say like the reason why they want to work with you. Number two is that how long have you been trying to solve XYZ problem? Since you're communicating in your ad about solving a specific problem, you want to ask them this question in the form. Then number three, you need to ask them like, and be very direct with them. Like tell them, hey, if you want to work with us, you need to be investing a certain amount, which is let's say $3,000. And if you have this kind of budget, you can work with us. So please say yes if you have this budget. If not, please do not apply or like press no. Another question that could be also asked is what kind of issue are you solving? Let's say you solve multiple issues and you have them as a radius select. Number five is that what do you expect me to help you with within the next 12 months or 12 weeks or 6 months or whatever. Okay, so just try to play around with the questions and think like a doctor when you're trying to sell your service. Because obviously, if you go to a doctor and if they look at you and say, okay, you need this kind of medication, you won't trust this doctor anymore. So you need to think like a doctor and sell like a doctor and ask the right questions to assess the pain of the user in order to see if your service fits them or not. However, again, that's a discussion for another video. I can go very, very in depth on how to qualify leads into selling them a higher ticket service. But for now, I'm just going to keep it simple. The questions here are obviously going to be the full name, the email, and if I want to add the phone number, I click here on add category, then contact field, and I have either WhatsApp number or phone number. I'm going to go with the WhatsApp number. So here it says WhatsApp number, and I do not want to make it optional. I want to make it mandatory, so I'll untick this. And then I'm going to click on, let's say I want to know where they're coming from, which country or city. Let's say I'm targeting multiple countries and I want to know their country. Now, if I want to ask them a customized question, it could be something like this. So I want to click on the add question here, and I have these following options. It says multiple choice, short answer, conditional logic, and appointment request. So the conditional logic is that you show a certain question based on an answer that they previously answered. Again, this is advanced. I won't go through this a lot. So you're most likely going to use the multiple choice and the short answer. So in case it's a short answer, it's going to be something simple like, why are you reaching out to us to solve XYZ problem? And obviously I don't want to make it optional. I just want to make it mandatory, and there you go. Now the question here is created. Let's say I'm only asking this question just for the sake of this training. I'll click here on next, and you need to add your privacy policy link. I don't have my link right now, so I want to keep it as is. And as you can see, this slide button, it asks people to slide the form button instead of clicking, which shows a higher intent. Obviously, do not add this or they will disable your form and your ad. Add the right link from your website. And if you do not have a website, you need to create a website. Just keep everything here simple and as is. So I'll click on next, and here it gives me a view screen on how my form looks like from the beginning till the end. So here we have this question, which is the qualification question, obviously. And then we have the personal details, and then we have like their confirmation of their information. And finally, we have the confirmation button, okay, that redirects them to, let's say, a website or to call us or to email us. And finally here, if I click next, it's gonna ask me, what do you want people to do after they fill the form? So you could send them to a website, or they could view a file, an image, or a PDF. And this works like a lead magnet, by the way, and it's interesting to try. We personally never tried it because we personally do not believe in this. Okay, and finally we have call a business, and you could add your phone number here. So let's say I want to just send people to a website, and the link is darkmatter.co. Let's say I'm sending them to my website. Okay, and I could start a messenger message with them whenever they become a lead. Now, again, we don't do this, so I won't go into this. If you want to test it, you could, but we personally do not do this. Now, I'll click here on create form. Now, once I have created this form, it's automatically saved in my ad account. So it's going to show like this. Now, if I want to add a video, I need to click here on Setup Creative, Video Ad. I'm going to choose this video, and I'm going to click Next. And over here, I can add my primary text, and obviously, you can add multiple options to let the algorithm like do this kind of optimization for you. So I'm going to say my primary text 2, my primary text 3. Obviously, do not add them like this. Like, make sure that you're writing some ad copy that's relevant to what the service you're providing, and it's obviously relevant to the ad that you have. Okay, so I have here primary text number 4, and then I have primary text number 5. Okay, then we have also the headline. I'm just gonna say headline 1. Okay, so I just like added all the possible ad copies and headlines here. And finally, I have the call to actions. The call to action could be sign up, subscribe, learn more, apply now, book now. They're all subject to test. This is how you set up the second best lead gen campaign. As I told you before, I'm not a big fan of this campaign structure and this campaign objective, but hear me out for method number 3, which is the best way to generate leads. I'm gonna click here on close. Obviously, I'm gonna discard all the drafts, and I'm gonna create this again, but using a different kind of object or a different kind of optimization. So I'll click on create again. I'm gonna choose the leads objective again. I'm also going to choose the manual leads campaign, and I'm going to select in the ad set level here website instead of instant forms. So I'm gonna click here on website. And by the way, the reason I did not choose website and instant forms, because Meta optimizes the result based on the lowest cost possible, it might get me most of my leads from the instant forms, which doesn't create the best experience for my users, and it won't really get me the good quality leads that I'm looking for, similar to what I get from the website usually, or the funnel, not the website. I'm gonna be clicking on website, and over here, I'm gonna be choosing the pixel. Now, obviously I have here a dummy pixel for one brand we created once. So this pixel should be integrated with your website or your funnel. And you need to integrate your conversion events with the funnel and make sure you've tested your funnel and that particular event, which is called lead. Now, I have a separate training on this on Agency University. I'm gonna leave that link down below so you can actually try it out. So I'm gonna choose that event over here. So click on lead. And obviously it says here setup conversion because I don't have this conversion set up on this pixel because obviously this is just a dumb pixel. But once you install this pixel and integrate it with your funnel, and make sure to trigger this kind of event when people submit a lead on your funnel or people who see the thank you page on your funnel. You could check the community below. It's completely for free. All the training and deep, boring stuff about how to integrate the pixel and the events, etc., etc. I did not change anything. And over here, I'm going to choose again dark matter as the page. The setup here is different. Now I do not need anything related to that instant form we created because now we're driving the traffic off Facebook and sending people to a funnel to tell them, learn more about my service or product or like lead magnet and give me your information to solve that particular issue, which is my lead magnet. Over here, I'm going to simply create a basic ad, which could be the video ad I just added before. And over here, I'm gonna add the link of my funnel. So it could be something like darkmatter.co/. So let's say this is my URL that I'm driving traffic to this specific funnel. And this funnel is simply a 12-minute video exposing other agencies on how they could scam you. So our ad is all about this angle, let's say. So I'm driving people to this video training to watch and see like how they could protect themselves. The browser add-ons are stuff we don't usually use because they don't really add value. And over here, the setup creative is the next thing I'm gonna do, which is add a video ad here. I'm gonna click on media. I'm gonna choose this video. I'm gonna click next. I'm gonna keep these empty for now. I'm gonna click next again, done. And there you go. Now over here, the primary text is similar to what we did in the previous campaign. Now the last thing I want you to do for your business and pay attention to is something we call URL parameters, or in other words, it's called UTM tagging. Now UTMs are a bit advanced and we discussed them in the Facebook Ads Domination program, but I'll just tell you about it very, very quickly. So in the URL parameters, because iOS in general prevent Meta from tracking 100% of the data, the UTM tracking helps us track 100% of the data, and it is like 99.9 accurate, 99.9% accurate. Okay, so the way we build it is simply by telling Meta to trigger these dynamic parameters on our Google Analytics. Now, this is a bit advanced, or not Google Analytics now, it's called J4. Okay, but it's a bit advanced. But if you are not interested in doing this kind of tracking, that's totally fine in your beginning stage, but please make sure to learn more about URL parameters so you can track accurately on like how to do that kind of tracking. But here, my basic and very quick explanation could be choose the source as the placement. So let's say someone is coming from the Facebook newsfeed, it's going to automatically track people who are coming from the newsfeed, and it's going to label them as people who came from the newsfeed. Okay, and same goes for any other placement you have, like Instagram, stories, blah, blah, blah. So I have the medium here. I usually take the ad name as the medium, and then the campaign name is obviously the campaign name inside my ads manager. Now, a lot of people use the campaign content. I personally don't use it because I don't require much breakdown for my data, but it's totally fine if you use the ad name inside the campaign content, and the campaign medium could be the ad set name if you want. So folks, what you just saw today is exactly how we generate leads through meta ads the right way. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of our overall meta ads strategy. So if you want to know the best meta ads strategy that allowed us and multiple clients and students generate over $100,000 per month, just click here to see it.